This is Bradley Phillips with Phillips Law. Today we've got another video for you, and what we're going to be talking about is the difference between theft, burglary, and robbery. So one of the questions that I get a lot when people call me, they've been arrested for a felony, and they're really uncertain about what the difference is between all three. First of all, what we're going to talk about is thefts. Thefts are, of the three, they're the lowest level offense that you can have. Now there's misdemeanor theft and there's a felony theft. That's all based on the amount, the dollar amount of the property that you're alleged to have stolen. So really quickly, theft is just the unlawful taking of something with the intention of depriving the owner of that property. So what does that mean? I'm walking down the street. I see something that's not mine, I take it, I walk away. That's it. I've taken something that's not mine and I don't intend to give it back. That is the definition of a theft. If that property I take is valued at under $1,000, it's a misdemeanor. If it's valued over $1,000, it's a felony. Next is burglary. So what's the difference between a burglary and a theft? A burglary is defined as going into some sort of establishment, some sort of property with the intention of taking something. So I come into your house to take your jewelry. I break into your car to steal something on the inside. That is a burglary. Now, the big difference between a burglary and a theft primarily is going to be the sentencing range. If you take something that's worth a couple $100, that's a misdemeanor. That's a theft. You're looking at somewhere from 0 to up to 6 months in parish jail. Burglary starts at a felony, and the sentencing range on that is 0 to 12 years. So, big difference between a bare bones kind of burglary, where you go into somebody's house and you take, $100 in cash out of a drawer, versus going and taking a wallet off of a coffee table and you take $100. Same value, same amount of property, completely different result in terms of what you're going to be charged with. So that's a burglary, and then the next thing that we're going to talk about is a robbery. Of the three, thefts, burglaries, and robberies are by far the serious, because even at its most basic form, it's called a simple robbery. A robbery is using force to take something from another person. So I come up to you, I throw you down to the ground, I punch you, and I take your wallet. That's a robbery. And the big thing that's different between a burglary and a theft, robbery is a crime of violence. So what are crimes of violence? In Louisiana, we have what's called the revised statutes. And crimes of violence are at the very beginning of that. And basically it's a list of all the crimes that you can commit in Louisiana which use force or violence or the threat of force or violence against a person, and they're defined as crimes of violence. There's a couple of big things about crimes of violence that separate them from crimes that aren't considered crimes of violence. The main thing is going to be, it's going to be with you forever. If you're arrested and convicted of a crime of violence, like simple robbery, you're never going to be able to get it expunged. So you're 20, you make a mistake, you rob somebody, 30, you never get in another ounce of trouble. 30 years later, this is still going to be showing up on background checks. It's going to hang with you forever. Other crimes, so the burglaries and the thefts, presumably, if other criteria are met that we're not really going to talk about today, but presumably once you've completed your probation, you can get those expunged. The other big thing that separates a crime of violence like robbery from burglaries and thefts is the sentencing time. So, for example, simple burglary, I mentioned, you can be sentenced from 0 to 12 years. The maximum sentence on the lowest level robbery is 7 years. But here's the thing, time calculation. For a simple burglary, you're eligible for good time. That means your really worst case scenario, even if you got the whole 12 years, you're only going to do about a third of that. Now, on the flip side, with a crime of violence, if you're sentenced to jail time, you're going to do about 2/3 of that sentence. So the reality is, if you get all 7 years on a simple robbery versus all 12 years on a burglary, you're actually going to do more time on the 7-year sentence than you will on the 12-year sentence. So the reality is, when somebody comes to me and they're charged with a robbery or a burglary, or a theft for that matter, I immediately want to take a look at a few things. I want to take a look at the value of the goods taken, if it's a theft. If it's a burglary, I want to look at, okay, did they go into something? Where were they? Where did this happen? If it's a robbery, I want to say, okay, was force or violence involved? You really want to make sure you have an attorney that I can identify those little distinctions so you, your loved one, or you can be properly represented and hopefully get a better outcome than you may have originally been looking at. If you have any questions, initial consultations are always free. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. If you found this video helpful, please, you can look us up on Facebook or Instagram. Follow us. We try to do these videos pretty regularly, and we try to share a lot of the information we have with you so we can answer your questions. Again, my name is Bradley Phillips. I am a criminal defense attorney here in New Orleans, Louisiana. And if you have any questions, please call us.